Are you good?
Yep.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the game in Toronto? It seemed to be one of your better games. Do you feel like you're improving?
Sí.
¿Puedes hablar un poco sobre el partido en Toronto? Es uno de los mejores partidos que has tenido. ¿Sientes el crecimiento que has dado?
Sí, pienso que sí. No solo yo, como todo la equipo ahora está empezando a jugar bien. Estamos jugando más unidos. Eso se ve, se mira en campo, que estamos técnicamente mejorando también, ya que físicamente antes no era el problema.
Sorry. Yes, I think not just me, but the whole team is starting to play well. And I think we are now playing as a unit. And you can see that on the field, that we're getting better on the technical front, but also I think more so than that, because physically we're kind of an issue.
With playing next to Ricky, how much energy has he brought to this team?
Ricky es un jugador fantástico y que llega para nos ayudar en la parte que necesitamos, como llevar el balón con técnica de la defensa al ataque, y eso hace muy bien, podemos mirar. Entonces Rick cambia todo, está cambiando todo para nosotros, y estamos felices de tenerlo acá porque es un jugador muy importante.
Rick's a fantastic player. He came to help us in areas where we needed him. He takes the ball from the defense to the attack, and I think he's changed the game for us. And we're happy to have such a great player like him here with us.
Physically, how are you feeling? Because Greg said that you showed up maybe with some injuries that hadn't healed properly. Are you feeling good?
Sí, ahora estoy mejorando porque llego de un año pasado con muchas lesiones, que ahora por suerte me toca estar más tiempo en campo, y estando así feliz, jugando más tiempo, creo que puedo ayudar al equipo más.
Yes, I'm getting better because I had a past year with a lot of injuries, and I feel luckily now I'm playing more, and I'm really happy from what I'm doing on the field, and I think I'm able to help the team more as well.
After the Sporting Kansas City game, where they beat you 4-2, you didn't start until this last game. Did you find that useful time sitting on the bench, or are you somebody who always wants to be on the field?
Después del partido contra Kansas, duraste algunos partidos sin jugar de titular. ¿Sentiste que ese tiempo te ayudó para regresar al nivel que estás aquí, o eres un jugador que quiere estar disputando siempre como titular y pelear esa titularidad?
Pienso que nosotros ahora, a partir de la llegada de Rick y Cáceres, tenemos jugadores que podemos sí mezclar, y para mí era importante tener un tiempo y recuperar, poner las cosas en donde hay que estar. Y entonces ese tiempo que estuve fuera fue un tiempo importante para volver a regresar, competir, estar al top. Es lo que estoy buscando cada vez más. Y mis compañeros de entrenamiento, yo siempre intento poner lo mejor.
I think with arrivals of Ricky and Martin Cáceres, we have players and depth, and for me it was important to have some time before I went back on the field, and that gave me time to better myself, come back stronger, and I will always try to give my best on the field for this team.
Gracias.
Thank you. Yeah, I think everybody, we know that it's coming towards the end of the season, and it's a playoff push. We want to make the playoffs. It's been 2 years that we haven't made the playoffs, and we want to go for it all this year. Getting some of the players in during the transfer window is very good. Our midfield has been very good, and we're playing as a team. We're not running as much as we were running. Everybody was on different pages, and now we're just as one collective team. Like I said, we're on a playoff push, and we want to make the playoffs. And our focus right now is just focusing on our game against Kansas, and just focusing on one game at a time.
Is it difficult? Well, from a player's standpoint, you added 3 pieces to the team, but 2 have been starting in key positions. How do you sort of get everybody on the same page there?
Yeah, it's easy because they make it so easy for us. They're players that can come on and make a difference. They're easy to play with. They understand the game. They have a lot of knowledge of the game. They're footballers, you know. They come from big clubs. They have a lot of experience, and yeah, it's not as difficult as it would be to, you know, bring in a player with no experience. But these players have a lot of experience, and these guys are players, very good players, and yeah, it's been easy for sure.
How do you feel that this season has gone for you so far?
I think it's been good. You know, I think there's been some ups and downs. Obviously, there's been some mistakes that I've made that I try to learn from. There's obviously every day that I try to come in and improve. But you know, I focus on the day that's to come. I focus on today, on trying to be the best version of myself. And you know, if I make mistakes, I'm going to try to learn from them, build off that, and try to be consistent with my games. Obviously, this is a World Cup year, and my dream and my goal is to make that World Cup roster. But ultimately, I want to make that playoff, and I want to win a championship here with the Galaxy.
Against Toronto, there were long stretches of possession, some really good ball movement. Maybe reminiscent right before the international break when I think you guys beat Austin, right? You know, it seems like do you guys feel that same way? Is stuff starting to click again? Yeah,
for sure. Obviously, there's been games where we rush the process. You know, we like to move the ball. We're a team that wants the ball. We're not a team that likes to defend a lot, but I feel like that's coming back. Obviously, with our midfielders starting to connect and starting to get together, link up together, and obviously getting everybody back on the same page is very good. And as much as we keep the ball, we're very good with it. You know, we had a lot of chances, and that's what we want ultimately.
What does the 100th appearance mean to you?
It means everything to me. You know, everything has came so fast for me. 4 years, it's been crazy. You know, it's everything that I've always dreamed of. I'm excited for what's to come, and I'm just enjoying the process right now.
I think you're the youngest LA Galaxy player to make 100 appearances across all competitions, and if you play every game from here on out for this regular season, you'll make 100 in league as well. Does that mean something too? The history part of it? Yeah, for sure, most definitely. I didn't know that, but yeah, for sure. I'm grateful. I'm proud to be a part of this organization, and yeah, I'm excited for what's to come and for what the future holds.
When it comes down to deadline day, I'm sure you've heard your name bounce around from country to country. How do you sort of block that out and focus on your job here, or is it difficult or easy? Or?
Yeah, for sure, it's difficult, but you know, I try to stay off all social media. I try to just focus on myself, try to focus on the team. You know, with news coming out before games and everything like that, I kind of just try to focus on the game and, you know, keep my head locked in right now. My focus is with the Galaxy. I'm under contract until 2025. So, yeah, you know, I'm doing whatever I can and controlling what I can, and whatever I can't control is out of my control. But I'm focused here, and I want to win a championship.
But in your long-term career goals, you want to play in Europe? Definitely.
I want to go to Europe for sure.
Yeah. With the history with you in Barcelona, I think you were part of their academy at one point, right?
Yeah.
Was it surprising to you to hear your name mentioned by Barcelona?
It was definitely surprising. It was news to me, but you know, it was something that I just had to keep away. But it was there, and I was focusing with the Galaxy.
I'm sure Damian and I certainly can't put ourselves in your shoes, but when you see Fabrizio Romano tweeting out your game, what's that experience like as well?
It's you know, I follow a lot of his stories, and you know, most of his stories are pretty true. So yeah, you know, I'm just focused with the Galaxy, and I'm trying to win a championship now.
Perfect. What do you see in this Sporting Kansas City game?
Yeah, you know, we obviously went over there and we lost to Kansas in the last couple minutes, I think it was, and you know, we're at home now. We've come from a long week. We've had 2 away games, a difficult road trip, and now we're focusing on it. We're at home in front of our fans, and we want to end the road trip with 3 points. It was a good road trip for us, and you know, to end the week with 7 points would be very good for us.
It's not often maybe that the home team has to travel further to get home than the away team. How are you feeling physically? How do you think the team is physically?
Yeah, it was a long 5-hour flight, but with the extra day with playing on Sunday definitely helps us. I feel very good. I feel I'm still getting back to the recovery process, but my body feels good. I'm ready for Sunday, and I'm sure everybody's taking care of their bodies right now and making sure that they'll be good for Sunday as well.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think in the game, I think we did some things well in terms of our build-out play, getting into their half of the field. I thought in the first half we didn't really build enough speed and numbers and patience into the final actions, and so we didn't create as many chances I think might have been there for us had we been a little bit more, I guess, patient in that, and we're able to bring more numbers ahead of the ball and move the game a little bit. The second half, I thought we came out and guys were really moving ahead of the ball, and we had some more chances to put the game away. That's probably where I get a little bit of the disappointment, because I think, we probably had 2 or 3 chances to go 2-0 before they get the first one, and then they get the second one, which is again a mistake that we gotta get rid of those types of errors because they hurt us. And then I thought down the stretch, I really didn't think Dejan was offside, and that play was, I don't know why the flag goes up. B, I don't know why it goes up so quickly and in a play like that, because that could potentially be the game winner as well. And so there's some frustration inside of that. But I thought the defensive mentality, that they're a good team with good players to work together to deal with things. We didn't give away many chances on the night, which I think is another positive sign. And then I'll go back a game further, and just in a really tough environment, the guys really battled, and it was a different looking game than the one in Toronto, which we knew they would look different. And the guys battled to a result, which I think you have to do from time to time down the stretch, and especially as you move towards the playoffs. And so we showed 2 different versions of ourselves, and we were successful, and probably could have taken away 6 points from those 2 games. And I'd say over our last 4 games, the other good thing is we're playing primarily from winning positions in a lot of it, which is also positive. I feel the confidence inside the group, but also the clarity in what we're trying to do, especially as we add new guys, that's starting to kind of settle in with them as well. So all positive things pushing forward, and a big game against an opponent that I think is finding themselves a little bit here at the end of the season, which pushes us towards a good game. And it's going to be warm, which both teams will have to manage that a little bit.
I was going to say on the Dejan play there, did they call, was that non-reviewable because they blew the whistle or
correct?
The flag went up?
Correct.
So that's why we didn't see a replay
Correct.
of it and all that stuff. And they
Correct.
called Dejan offside?
Correct.
And that's one where the instruction is don't pull the flag because of that. Is that something?
That's what you would think. There was 5 other plays in that game that were far more offside than Dejan's was, that kept going, and then they were called later. For I don't know why this one was called immediately, and so they don't ever get to review because the flag goes up straight away.
Do you have a conversation with the league after that, or has that become futile?
It's futile. In the grand scheme of things, it's futile. It becomes energy spent to put the video together, to ask the question, to then get a response that is whatever the response is, that's never going to change the outcome of the game or help you in the future. So it becomes just an energy and lost exercise or lost time. And so we move on. I mean, that's what we need to do as a group, is we leave those things behind us, we move on and focus on what we can control, which is in front of us.
You mentioned it's going to be warm Sunday, and that's kind of underplaying it a little bit. I mean, they're talking 100 even around the beach.
Yeah, it'll be tough. Both teams have to manage through it. I think what it might take a little bit is, it might take some of the high pressing out of the game from time to time, which, even when we played in Kansas City, it's not like they were pressing us super high. They were playing us in transitions and opening us up in other ways. So again, it's the 3rd game in a week that will have a different feeling, I think, than the first 2 games of the week. So again, being able to come in and play well and get a result in what is going to be another version of an MLS game, right? That's the beauty of our league, is these games take different shapes and have different circumstances each time. So when you have a team they're playing with house money a little bit right now, because they look very much on the outside, but they're on a good run. So I think they want to finish the year strong and show that they have a good group, and so they'll come in here with every intention to try to take something away from us.
Where do you feel you are recovery-wise coming back?
Good. I think everybody came out of it healthy, nothing to concern ourselves with. And I look at these as having that extra day of recovery versus what happened between between New England and LA. There's a 3rd day in there that recovers, which for me gets guys back to kind of what I would say is their full fitness, right? Barring they don't have any injuries that they're carrying around, which guys are in good spot.
it seems like everybody from maybe 11 are sort of finding their way a little bit. Houston had the big win against LAC, and then Kansas City's playing well. You said you look at this as a one-off from here on out, but you allow yourself to look at the standings at all a bit? Take a peek at that?
Yeah, of course. You see what's going on, and you follow it, because I think that's part of what makes it interesting, exciting. You can't take yourself too far away from it. I don't focus on it, but I'm always curious as to who's coming up next. Who does everybody play in their next fixture? I don't look too far beyond all of that. And then for us, it's that. But you get into this time of year where, again, there's teams that don't have a lot of pressure on them. Maybe they feel a little more freedom to play. They can take a little more risk. They can do what they want. You have other teams who've clinched, who maybe relax a little bit for maybe not. You don't know, but sometimes hit a little bit of a lull at the end when they've had strong seasons. So there's an interesting set of dynamics, I think, down the stretch in the last 10 games. This is why I kind of shared the last 10 games are so important, because there's different emotions to hit when you start to see where the table is and where you're going to fall out, and it can play tricks on a team sometimes. That's why we're just trying to stay focused one at a time, and we have everything that we're trying to play for in terms of our positioning. So for us, it has to be one final at a time and prepare ourselves to play. But we have to stay focused on how we want to play, how we want to win games. We don't want to just throw whatever we can at it to win the game. We're still trying to play our way to win the games. So, but the focus certainly is on, from an energy and intensity standpoint, is one game at a time, right? And that's what.
Stats on Mark?
He trained full today. He's been training through the course of the week, barring any setbacks. I think he'll be available for the weekend.
What was his injury?
He was having just some non-illness-like symptoms that we needed to. It wasn't concussion related, and it wasn't COVID related. There were just some foggy kind of sorting out through some things. I don't know. It's the same thing he encountered in the middle of the season that that he's working through a bit.
Is that a greater thing than that he's dealing with?
No, I don't. I think it's coming from a specific area, and they're just trying to manage, and it kind of went away and then kind of built up again, and so we're just trying to manage him, make sure he's in a good spot, and he's trying to get the right solutions there. So it's
and so forth.
Yeah, it's nothing that any of us see as serious. For him, it's just it constrains and creates a little fog for him when he's there, and we want to make sure that he's healthy first and foremost before anything else. So.
And Martin cleared and visa?
Yeah, visa cleared. Yeah, again, has been doing the work here. He didn't travel with us, but he's been doing the work here, and he'll be available. And we'll see what role he plays as we go into the weekend.
What kind of things are you looking at from him? Where do you want to use him, and how do you want to use him?
Yeah, again, versatile in terms of his positioning in the back. He could play as a center back. We went to New England and played as a 3. He's very comfortable in a 3 if we decide to use something like that. He could play right back if we needed him ever in a covering role in something like that. So again, versatility. What I like him to bring is just some more personality, experience, communication. Again, he's a little bit of a tough player who can get into the challenges, bring a little bit of that into our group. So for us, it's an opportunity to add some experience and maturity into our line.
It takes, in this league, it's not possible to rebuild all at once. It's easier to build a team from scratch.
For sure, 100% agree, yeah.
How close do you feel you are to having your team?
Yeah, I think we're taking a step closer in every window. I thought we took a big step in this last window. I think for us, it's still trying to find the right balance between what I call space creators and space users. The guys who are threatening to run off the ball and getting in behind the back line and putting the back line under pressure, and guys who want to play make in between the lines. And so continuing to encourage some of our guys who like to sit between the lines to run out a little bit more, and encouraging our guys who like to run out to keep running out, is finding a little bit of that balance. And then I think, again, the last part for me is just the stability in the back group of, we've got to have more shutouts, and we've got to have more games that we can win 1-0, for example. And so and that's a collective thing, but also a backline thing, just not having some of those little mistakes that we've had here or there to deal with situations. But I think it's tightening up things now, and I don't think it's overhauls or anything like that. I think we're very specific now on the types of profiles that we want to add within our group, but I do believe we really have a core group ready to move forward.
Are you going to have to make moves to deal with players leaving at at the end of the season? Guys who you feel are core people? Or are they mostly under contract for next year?
No, I think most of our pieces will be under contract this year. So any type of movement that we do will be probably movement that we choose to do to try to take another step forward with the group. So we'll try to win some games and get to the playoffs first.
With Mark being able to step back in, we are going to get to see this midfield that you've kind of constructed for the first time.
Yeah, and I think we have variations. I mean, I think against Toronto you saw a variation that had Victor playing kind of as a 10 and Ricky doing a little bit more of the two-way work that he had done so much in Barcelona. I think there's times where Ricky can be more of the 10 and Marky and can be out there doing a little bit more of the two-way. I think Marky could give Gaston a break at times. They could be on there together. So what I feel like is we have maturity, we have quality, we have slightly different profiles in there. We've got guys who, like Ricky, who can play on the move and be shifty. And so I like our group. But the challenge for me is going to be always to try to pick the right group for the game and based on what we need. And but I have obviously talking through them in terms of how we do that will be a part of that process. But it's a good, solid group now that I think really complements each other. For me, Gaston's best game was the last game. I thought he really kind of solidified the midfield, was showing up at the right times, getting the ball to guys when they needed it. I felt like he had caught the kind of the pace. It wasn't a super high tempo game, but I felt like he had really found the pace of the game and was in good spots for us. And both sides on attack and in defense. And so I feel like he's settling in as well, but also getting his legs under him. It's hard to join, as you know, in the middle of the season when you're kind of going into the stretch where everybody's pushing at top fitness and form, and you're trying to catch up with that. But I thought this last game was, again, arguably his best game for us.
I thought Victor had a really good game too. And sort of in that role is I'm old, so I'll preface it with that.
Sure.
Is Ricky taking some years off of Victor just with their combinations and how they play, because he looked really dynamic.
Yeah, I think what helps Vic is when we have more or enough of our fair share of the ball, it really helps Victor, right? When he's having to chase around doing a lot of the defensive work because we're losing balls easily or things like that, that's not where Vic is in the moment, right? But when we have good and we can build our possessions and the game isn't, like, I think Vic would have had a hard time in the game in New England as an example. It just was a pure physical game. He would have still found his moments and he still would have impacted it, but it would have taken a toll on him to be in a game like that. Whereas a game that is organized and we have our possessions and guys are clean in possession and the ball moves, you see the brilliance that can come out of him and his manipulation of time and space and all those kinds of things. And so I think the balance of a midfield who can take care of the ball, when the team takes care of the ball, it really will help Vic, again, continue to be more and more influential in games. And so, again, I think the next piece for him is that balance between those receivers who are looking to receive things behind the line and break the lines, but also the guys who can help us keep possession and keep the game controlled in our way. So, but I thought, again, he had a solid game. Ricky has been fantastic in the last two games.
So is Ricky giving some energy to this team? It feels like
he does. It's both in his personality, but also in his play. He covers an incredible amount of territory over the course of games. There's an energy there that is unique and special, and he's always kind of on the move, and he's always engaged and sharp and aware. And as I said, one of his great qualities, he's not the biggest guy, and so part of that is he's developed this capacity to just always play on the move. And so he's so hard for defenders to get a hold of because he's just slippery and he's so technically clean, and he's heads up and he's playing off of people and he's moving, which gets everybody kind of in the rhythm of things. And so the ball's not just going from guy to guy and we're stopping the ball. Like when it comes to him, he's on the move and making other guys get on the move. So it's a nice addition in that way as well.
It also helps for you to be 23, right?
For sure. Yeah, today he wanted to have a region. I said, Ricky, you're 23, you got to do a little work. No, he's great. He's a very positive young man, which I think brings a lot of really good energy inside of the team too.
And his movement, and especially his movement of the ball, given that Marquis and Gaston also move the ball very quickly. It's just you've got a midfield now that the ball is always, nobody's holding on to it. To me, that's the game. Like that's where I want the game to be. If anybody's holding the ball, it's because we're attacking somebody in one-on-one situations higher up the field and we're going. If they're holding on the ball, it's because they have space in front of them and they're driving into that space.
But I want the ball moving fast. These are guys, we look for players who are efficient on the ball or can take the ball on the move and keep going at the opposition, which Ricky can play on the move, right? Vic and Mark and Gaston are three guys who are super efficient. Vic manipulates time, so he knows when to hold and when to play because he's sometimes drawing people out of positions to then use it. So he's a manipulator of time. Marky is a giver of time, and I think Gaston is a bit of a giver of time as well, which is what we're continuing trying to build. I see younger players like Adam Saldana who has that kind of capacity too as he continues to develop and organize his body and move into spaces. He's a giver of time as well. So we're trying to get our midfield because, look, it's impossible for teams to defend you if the ball is moving fast. It just is. They just have to really bring a lot of numbers in, but if the ball is moving fast, so difficult to defend. And we're getting closer to where that is, right? But it's not just that. It's about having a collective idea of what we're trying to accomplish when we are moving the ball fast, which is really certainly, I think, growing inside of our group.
As you see more and more of Gaston, how would you describe it? Because he doesn't seem like a traditional 6. He likes to get forward. He's almost like a 6 with an 8 mind.
Yeah, I mean, last year he played more as an 8. The year before he played more as a 6. So I think it's him settling into kind of that rhythm of what we as a team need, but also what he feels like he can give into the game. But I like him, and I think his tendency is to want to sit in between the lines and get the ball to people. But if there is some space to attack, he'll go. I think, it's not so dissimilar than what you see from Michael Bradley, right? He'll stay in there, but at times he'll go driving forward into the space, but a bit of a playmaker from that deeper position in terms of getting the ball to the people that they need to get it to as quickly as possible. Not the guy who's necessarily hitting all the final actions, but the guy who's keeping balance in the game and dividing it up.
And Michael played higher up when he was in Holland too. So
yeah, exactly. Those are guys who have transitioned maybe into some slightly deeper roles, but I feel like that's kind of where he is as well.
Are we just scratching the surface on Ricky? Because he's
probably, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody get used to the league, get used to your teammates, right? Create relationships on the field. So guys get a better understanding, especially our strikers, of when he's ready to play off of you and get the ball back and things like that. So you see his qualities, but I think as a team we're all still getting used to those new pieces that are into us because it's nuance, it's timing, it's understanding where guys want the ball, when they want the ball, how they want the ball, all that kind of stuff that will continue to get better as they get comfortable with each other. There's another guy who plays fast, right? Plays efficient, right? So again, another person in our midfield who will play with efficiency and cleverness and things like that.
And also just kind of tamp down whatever you need.
Sure, for sure.
Sunday's Julian's 100th appearance.
Okay.
What kind of improvement have you seen from year to year since you've been here?
Jules I think he's getting more comfortable in terms of his role, where he fits in within the group. I think his reading of the game is getting better. His talent has always been the physical aspect of the game, and his intensity and competitiveness has always been his strength. Where we've challenged him is a little bit more in the game reading side and the understanding of maybe when to be a little bit inside, when to be outside, when to be in a defensive cover position versus when to take off and be into an attacking position. Before, when he was a younger player, it was just attack, and then you give up some spaces in behind you. The things that I see just continued growth in that, right? I think he's grown a lot in his emotional management. Before I got here, he was constantly in confrontation and involved in things emotionally, and now I think he's starting to find that cerebral balance where you're allowing information to get to the logical part of your brain and not just settling for the emotional part. So I see some maturity in that side of things that is coming from him. I think he's getting more comfortable at playing when the ball is coming to his feet and finding passes between lines versus, again, just looking to run up and down the line. So I think, again, maturity in the position and nuance more than just one thing kind of all the time. So, and it's been work for him, and he continues to grow.
Kind of reminds me sometimes of David, when someone would hit David and you'd see the fire.
Yeah.
There's time for it's like, okay,
yeah,
he's going to get a yellow card here in a minute.
Yeah, but you see, it's moments we saw with Efra. Like Efra, he lost the ball, guy got behind him, and his reaction is to run back and try to make a play. It ends up being a penalty. It's eliminating those types of emotions inside of the game, because as a defender, it's so imperative that you make make good sound decisions because they, you know, and sometimes that doesn't mean winning the ball. Sometimes that means just standing a player up and keeping the game neutral and not always feeling like you got to win the duel all the time. Like, because sometimes just keeping things neutral is winning the duel. And it's having that emotional balance inside of games to not feel like you always have to get the best of the other guy. 'Cause that's a tough one.
We saw that in Toronto's box too.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's my point. Good.
Wonderful.
There you go.
All right.
All right, thank you much.
Guys, good to see everyone.
Thanks. Good to see
All
you.
right. See you.
Always.